Joe. If for nothing else, Joe, it's just the pleasure of saying good morning. I can't tell you how much that means to me.
Good morning, Lee. Probably hearing it back too.
Yeah. Without like a question mark on the end, without like a good morning. Good. Joe, I don't know why, but you were on my mind for a couple of minutes yesterday, as I don't know why. Had something to do with Twitter, but I appreciate your.
I think I followed a Layer5 account on Twitter recently.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah, that could have been the. I wanted to respond kindly to your to what you do full time, or to your offer to potentially engage there. So I appreciate that, and if it's all right with you, it's a wise thing to follow up to see if there's an appropriate topic that might fit into it's austinstartups.com, but is it, you end up actually, do you mind if we have this as a topic, like just for you to say kind of what you do and what austinstartups.com is?
Yeah, I can do my best. I actually work at the university. austinstartups.com is more of just something I do out of Capital Factory. But yeah, I can talk about it a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that'd be nice.
Can that be kept toward the beginning of the meeting? I may need to leave around 10:30 or so.
Sounds good. Is it with an S or just a?
It is with an S. austinstartupsups.com. I can put the link in the chat.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Let's get into the meeting minutes.
Yeah, so hello guys, we have a lot in the agenda. I'm gonna host today's meeting. Even though he's on leave for this call, I guess. He's on a break rather, I would say. So we have a lot of newcomers in this call. So if you are attending this meeting for the first time, don't feel shy. We have a tradition where you have to introduce yourself. So if you are new, go ahead and unmute your mic and introduce yourself. And if you don't, we'll start nitpicking you.
And if you don't, you'll be forced to do it anyway. I think that's, yeah. So good deal. So Drew, I don't know if we've gotten a chance to say hi to David before. David, who's on the call. David, do you mind introducing, just saying hi and a little bit about yourself, your favorite color, the good stuff? So by the way, audio is hopefully good for most everyone. And David, if you can't introduce over audio, you'll please drop a note into the chat. It'd be nice to meet you. Drew, there's a Raymond on the call as well. It's like a fresh face.
Raymond, if you can hear me, blink once.
Cool. Good. Well, so hey, Raymond, if you can hear us, please take a second to introduce. It'd be nice to get to know you. Same goes for anyone else who's on the call and hasn't had a chance to say hi to the group. Please do.
I see Priyanshu Gupta in the call. Feel free to introduce yourself if you like.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
you are.
audible? Okay. Hello, myself Priyanshu Gupta, and I'm from IIIT Bhubaneswar in India. I'm currently pursuing BTech in computer engineering, and I'm basically proficient in Dart and Flutter. I'm doing app development, and I know a little bit of React and Node.js stuff.
Awesome. Nice. Very nice to meet you. Welcome. Welcome.
And I also see two Siddharths in the call. If anyone of them is new, feel free. Want to mute your mic or say hi in the chat.
Cool. Can everyone hear Dhruv okay? Okay, good. I know, Meghana, you have said hi in the website's call on Monday.
Yes, I did.
Good. And did you get a chance to say hi on this call? Because there's different people on it.
No, I just joined. I had some issue. So I just joined again. So, hi everyone. I am Meghna. I'm from India. So I'm a senior at IIT Bhilai, and I've majorly worked in front-end technologies, majorly in React and Redux and Dynamic CSS, etc. And I did a couple of internships in the same area, and also some open source contribution a year ago, but I haven't done recently. So that's pretty much about me. And I came across Meshery while I was going through the community bridge projects. I was looking for some projects I can get involved in, which involved React, and I came across Meshery, and it also involved some technologies I wanted to learn and implement. So I just joined the community. So I'm looking forward to contributing here. So thank you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we're really looking forward to you contributing too. I don't know if there's a meshmate, Josh Patel. I don't know that he's on right now. He was just on a call a minute ago. Josh wrote up a blog post about some of his time spent here, and I think part of how he has become a meshmate, which is a mentor in the community, and he tells a small story in there. I'll spoil the surprise if you go read his blog post. It's on layer5io/blog. He says, I think the first time he joined, he said something kind of similar. He said he was into front end things. He's into React. And before he could end his sentence, I think we pounced on him because at the time there were so many gophers running around here and very few people focused on front end things. And so it's a lot of times when people, contributors and would-be community members take a look at the projects, they see DevOps like as the biggest like thing in front of their face, and then kind of on the side they see Docker,
Yeah.
Kubernetes, and so it doesn't necessarily attract, or on the surface of it, it's not obvious that people who are UI inclined or UX inclined or who are visual designers, there's so much of a desperate need for those talents. Did you say dynamic CSS?
Yes, I worked with style components and emotion CSS. So in the open source contribution I did a year ago, there they were using emotion, and in my most recent internship, they were using style components. So I got a chance to work with both. So, and
The first thing that you said, did you say in motion?
yes, emotion CSS.
Nice. Okay, very good. Like emotion. Yes. Okay.
Yes, it's similar to style components. I'm not exactly even sure about the difference, but they're almost similar.
Nice. Well, if you get pounced on, it's only out of love and desperation for some people to focus on front end. So, good. Nice
Sure.
to have. Who else? Suraj. Suraj, have you said hi? Siddharth.
No, I haven't introduced myself. Hey, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm from Kerala, India. I actually came across this community from Navindu. Navindu here, yeah. He's a junior here. And I was working as a senior backend engineer in a startup called Seed. Right now, I'll be pursuing my master's in UK in 2 months. So I was exploring different technologies and DevOps is kind of which I was exploring. So Navendu suggested you guys have a great community here, and also contributing is it might be a good way to learn, right? So I'm here. Thank you, and looking forward to working with you.
Awesome. Nice. Good. Good. Sounds to me like you're bored. You've got a couple of months of learning and contributing. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Cool. Siddharth, do you want to say hi real quick? We're going to hear from Joe. Ritvik, you've said hi before. Raymond, if you can hear us, or David, this is one of those calls where you are. Geez, boy, yeah. But by the way, everybody's welcome to learn and engage here in their own ways. You're encouraged to engage as much as you can and be tenacious about it, especially if you're looking for, like the community bridge was mentioned earlier, if you're looking for an internship, like go after it, go get it. There's a ton of things to do, and there's more internships to give out than we have mentors to manage them. Also, if you're here as a stander by, or what's the right word? If you're here passively just to absorb and not really engage, that's wonderful as well. And there's a few people who've been around for over a year, never said a word on the call, but are here absorbing and learning. And so that's awesome as well. With that, I know there's a couple of people who haven't said hi just yet. And so I don't know, for the first time, we might break tradition and move forth just because there's a lot of topics going on. So Dhruv, I don't know if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. And anyone wants to introduce themselves later, feel free to. Okay, so the first announcement, I guess, reminder is to use to discuss form in the Layer5. So if you have any small doubts or anything about the community or the things you're working on, you should probably go here and ask it, whether it's a small one or a big one. Don't be shy about it. Okay, so the second announcement is Abhishek Kumar. It's the last day of him over here. So all the best to him for the near future. He will still be around as he's a maintainer over here in Layer5. So yeah,
Good.
all the best.
So yeah, so on that, I think most everyone knows Abhishek Kumar. There's a link to his ugly mug in the chat. but Abhishek's been around for a year now. And Abhishek, you want to tell people what's next as you go to transition? Also, this is maybe your one time to publicly complain about your experience here. Is Abhishek? Oh, you know what? I don't know if Abhishek is on. Man, it doesn't feel good to harass someone when they're not on. He is not on because he's hard working on, he's got a deadline to finish off a couple of things. So, all right, everybody's got to harass him in Slack. Abhishek is the first full-time employee to come to Layer5, and he's done a commendable job. He's had, you know, like I think only 2 fully sleepless nights, and he's had any other really late nights. He's done, you know, he's done really well. So I'm going to spoil it for Abhishek and say Abhishek is headed out to the US. So he's going to move from India over to Dallas, Texas. He's going to do his master's at UT Dallas, and he'll take a little bit more of a hardware centric focus, but he'll continue to be in the community. Time will tell if he has, well, anyway, he'll continue to be in the community. He's a maintainer currently, and will continue to maintain. So kudos to him. So.
Yeah. So the next announcement is, so Meshri and SMP just got into CNCF, and there are some traction which is getting, and few news articles which are written on our projects. So yeah, your work is being shown.
I hope everyone takes pride in that, by the way. That's your works that are up there. As a matter of fact, Dhruv in particular, his work and a number of the rest of you, like basically all of the rest of you, it's represented there. It's pretty neat. That wasn't us. That was those analysts, those reporters reaching out to ask us about the projects they're interested. So that's fantastic. There is one egregiously wrong thing with that article. I don't know where that green came from, that puke green that you see in the background. Yeah, I think it's called vomit green. I'm not sure. But where they got that, I don't know. But I feel a little nauseous, just in the back of my throat when I see it. It's like we got to, so Navendu, I'm going to give you a contact for these folks. Maybe you could help get that changed. Cool. Anyway, the rest of you, please do go read it. Go take pride. It wouldn't be surprising to me if your specification, service mesh performance, potentially overtakes the other specification, service mesh interface. And that's not a goal at all. It's just an artifact of the fact that HashiCorp, Red Hat, Intel, IBM, all very interested in service mesh performance and what's going on there. And so, very cool. Very cool.
Okay. The next announcement, I guess, at the risk of being a narcissist, congratulations to the new maintainers. Dhruv Patel for being maintainer of Meshi UI, and Abhishek for being the maintainer of Meshi Docs. So I guess the work starts from now.
Cool. A quick note. So just to be clear, Dhruv Patel and Aditya Krishna were nominated a little over a week ago for maintainer roles on Meshri, and both of them were heartily voted in. They've both earned those roles. And for better or worse, earning the role also means that they bear some ongoing responsibility. And so Meghana actually just, a good kind of related note is that Dhruv, and there's a litany of other folks as well, but I'm a good one to talk to about Meshri UI.
Oh, great. We'll connect with him. Sure.
Okay,
So I'm sorry to keep ad-libbing Dhruv onto. The reason I stuck my mouth into this is to say there are a number of other maintainer roles that desperately need people to step up and step into, and if that entices you, don't reach out to me. Rather, the way that those are awarded is, I mean, you reach out to me and talk to me, or talk to any of the other maintainers, anybody else here. But my point is the way that the mechanics of this and how to achieve a maintainer role is just go do it. Just start maintaining, just go engage in the projects. And then eventually you're just recognized as being a maintainer because that's what you're doing. And so, cool.
Cool. So yeah, let's move on to the first topic. Joe, you would like to hear about Austin startups, if you may?
Hello, everybody. I've been involved with Layer5 for the past couple months. I know some of you don't know me. My name is Joe Madura. One of the things I do here in Austin as a hobby is I curate content for, somebody's pulled it up, austinstartups.com. I had mentioned to Lee that it might be a good opportunity for somebody at Layer5 to write an announcement about the CNCF membership. Potentially somebody could write about their experiences working at Layer5 and we could publish it here. Lee, you may have some other ideas about things that might be publishable. But austinstartups.com is primarily a blog and social media presence for startups in Austin. We have Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn feeds that all publish the same content that shows up on this page.
Joe, that's fantastic. There is the two suggestions that you just made. Those make a lot of sense. For those that are slightly less familiar, Joe, can you characterize the startup scene in Austin? Like you don't have to give a complete history, but just are things speeding up or slowing down or?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So again, for people who don't know, Lee and I are in the same city. So that's why we are saying good morning to each other at the beginning of the call, because it actually is morning for us. I know people are all around the world right now. But I work at the university, but I've worked at startups here in Austin before, and I'm still involved with a startup accelerator called Capital Factory here in Austin. And one of these projects I work on is curating content for this blog, but I learn about a lot of what's going on in Austin with startups. And I can tell you that there's always something going on. Like we slowed down during the pandemic, and it seemed like activity slowed to a trickle, but it's coming back now. Like I'm just seeing more buzz going on. I did mention to Lee that it still feels very empty, like around in places where I'd expect to see startups working, but I am seeing activity going on behind the scenes. Like Slack channels are more active than they were just a couple months ago. Like people are more confident and thinking about, oh, I want to build this. I want to start this new company. I want to move to Austin and do like XYZ idea that I've had a long time. But just the startup scene in general, there's always something going on. There's meetups all over the place. There's different talks going on. South by Southwest has their own startup village. I'm hoping that in 2022 we'll see that again, because it's always interesting to see the different startups that are out there. But
in your mind, is there, between things like fintech and all the other categories, like in your mind, is I guess two questions. Is Austin known for more of one versus the next, and is that, are we only with those that are coming to the city and the more funding that seems, the more venture capital that seems to be opening up around here? Do you think it'll be more of the same category, more of the same categorical focus in terms of the startups that are springing up?
Well, that's a good question. I think that category-wise, the kinds of startups that we have in Austin are always changing and growing. I think historically we've had maybe less fintech than California has had, but I do see how that's changed a little bit. I know Multi-Coin Capital is the big one that comes to mind. They're based out of Capital Factory, and I know they're really big in the cryptocurrency. I know that I've seen a lot of things having to do with food, different kinds of food products. And to be clear, these aren't restaurants, but these are people who want to do something unique with food. I know that over the past, I'd say 18 months, there's been sort of a push to try to get more startup financing for female-owned startups and for different kinds of minority-owned startups too. So I know that hasn't been, those two sectors haven't been as always fairly represented as they ought to be. And I know that some startup accelerators here in town focus exclusively on those two groups.
That makes sense.
But yeah, Lee, things are always changing. I know you're in the Omni Center, so I know you see a little bit. I don't know how often you get up into Capital Factory, but
Yeah. So for those, by the way, the image that everyone sees being shared on the screen, that's of downtown Austin, and there's a sort of the center of Startupville in Austin, maybe in Texas, is this organization, Capital Factory. There's a picture of one of their signs just down below on that website. And anyway, they're in what is it? They're in one of the buildings that you see in the picture. And well, Joe, I was going to return with one more question for you, and that is, your involvement at the university, or in what capacity do you spend time there?
at the university, I work in the housing department. I do things with databases and business intelligence. It's not nearly as much fun as working at startups, because the university tends to have less tech-focused solutions than I would personally like. But it is nice to work in a big institution like that. So that's part of why I like Layer5. It's just a completely different dynamic. Universities move slow and Layer5 moves fast. Layer5 builds a whole lot more stuff. The university tends to do the same thing year after year.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Joe, thank you for that. Yeah. Boy, I feel like I've been a hermit for about a year, and I think the paleness of my skin probably speaks to that as well. So nice.
And yeah, I didn't want to take up too much of the meeting's time, but Lee, if you wanted to contribute a Layer5 kind of announcement, or if anybody here in this call or elsewhere in the Layer5 community wanted to put something in there, the invitation's open.
For sure, and I guess for any of you that might be thinking of that, yeah, please either get a hold of Joe, or if I can help, I will. Or as I go to take Joe up on his offer, I'll open up a draft so in case others want to participate in that. it's a great opportunity to, but yeah, the more that's done here, the more that affiliation rubs off in a positive way on all of you. So that's good. Nice. Thank you, Joe. Good.
Yeah, so let's move on. Before that, you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So, Jubril, if you want to speak about the Service Mesh Con which is happening.
You know what? I'm not sure if Jubril is on. Okay. Hey, just really briefly, there's, KubeCon happens twice a year. The next one is happening in the US. It'll be a hybrid, sort of some in person, some virtual. If you're a student and you don't have a free pass to KubeCon, then we should get you one, or you should get one. There are a number of side conferences, smaller conferences that adjoin KubeCon. One of them is called Service Mesh Con. And so there's a call for submission, like if someone would like to speak there, that ends on Sunday. Forewarning, I'll say this, like that's an extraordinarily competitive event. It's a single day. I think it's a single track, which makes it like quite tight. There's not a lot of submissions that will go through. And then Service Mesh has all of the hot buzziness around it that on top of KubeCon. So like it's rough going. That said, don't let that discourage you. Go submit or go. There's a bunch of other events that we track continuously. There's actually an events calendar that we track different submissions to. And so if getting up on stage and talking about the things that you're doing here is something that any of you would ever like to do, and you either A, need help drafting a submission, B, want a review of the submission, or C, want to co-speak, I'm always game. And I know that there's a number of you in the community that are into this sort of a thing. And so please just, mention that in Slack. Actually, that leads us into, I think, another topic there that Anita will talk about in a little bit, about blog posts and the content calendar. So I didn't mean to jump over all that. So since Jubril wasn't here, I thought I would speak to it. The next item is mine, which is just the notion that there's a service mesh end user group in the CNCF that has asked that Meshery and service mesh performance be demonstrated. So this group in the CNCF, if you can imagine, there are any number of organizations that are members of the CNCF. Some of those organizations are on the vendor side of things. Rather, they are the organizations that are by and large producing these projects and advancing technology. Like they're creating these projects. Whereas there's a whole gaggle. Sorry, we were just talking about gaggles earlier. There's a whole group of member organizations that fall into that are classified as users. So users, organizations that are prominent users of the projects and the technologies. So there's actually two service mesh groups in the CNCF. There's one that I chair on the vendor side of the house, and then there's another one that's an end user group. So these end users are asking for an understanding of and a demonstration of Meshery and SMP. And so the next time they meet is on Tuesday, August 10th. We'll have to, this is it's the weirdest thing about this particular group. They are shy for inviting others to join. I'm going to go clarify whether or not everybody else is welcome to join in. And it's really kind of an oddity because that isn't the case for like every other meeting in the CNCF. All of you are welcome to join. I'll go clarify. We've got a little bit of time, but that's great. People are inquisitive. They're inquiring. So I'm just trying to move quickly. So the next item is from Abhishek, who I think is still, Abhishek, are you on the call? No.
So I don't think so he's at the call. I will just give a quick update on this. So yeah, the transition of the error code is completed. Now what we are working on was basically adding the details about each of the errors, which Istio, OSM, and Kuma have been completed, and for Meshri, Abhishek was working on it, and today most probably was a deadline, so he would be finished with it. So that's a brief detail on that. And okay, let's go to the next topic, which is by Abhi. Abhi, do you want to demo if you're online?
Yeah, you know what? It's not fair to Abhi because I don't think he is online.
Oh,
I just dropped it in there in case he was here, but I don't think he's here.
okay, sure. So let's move to Anita. Uh, so I
Okay.
see yeah.
Hello everyone.
Hey,
So if you're in the Slack channel, you must have seen or have come across the channel called the Blog Kitchen. So aside creating video content, we're working towards creating written content as well. And I know there are so many persons in the community that have good technical writing skills and like to tell stories. So if you haven't gone through our Blog Kitchen, you can just join this channel. But other than that, we're looking for technical writers who can curate content on reports from events and actually tutorials as well. So it's not just creating video content, we also want to create the written ones as well. So if you're good at writing and you feel you can put words together to make us understand either any of the processes concerning layer 5 better, just indicate by joining the Slack channel and also dropping a message for your area of interest. And also, we have a content calendar for events that already need to be translated and content that needs to be written on. So you can look through this if you're looking for a particular, if you don't have a topic to write on, but you want to pick a particular topic that is awaiting assignment. So you can just look through this. The ones that are still on the green, the ones still on the very light green are open for assignment. So you can just indicate interest, either writing your name here or just commenting in the Slack channel that you want to take that particular topic, and we'll give you the Google Doc to get everything started and submit an amazing content out there. So you can just check this content calendar and see which of this topic best fits your interest.
sounds good.
Yeah, Ruth is on, Meshmate Ruth. Ruth, I don't know if you want, if you want to mention some of your forthcoming focus on the community handbook. I don't know if you're looking for others to potentially engage there or not. I thought I'd call it
Sure,
out.
I am. Hi everyone. It's been a while. Yeah, so yeah, I see so many new folks everywhere. Nice to meet everybody. So we had some months ago we had some contributions from the She Code Africa community where some persons, put up a community handbook. So we'll be moving forward with that. So I'm still trying to plan that. We are planning to, you know, move forward with like the community handbook, do some few touches, I know add recent stuff that have been going on. So if you want to, yeah, thank you Lee for dropping draft. If you want to, contribute to that, you can check out the draft and let me know. You can Slack me and let me know like what ideas you have and anything. So yeah.
Awesome. By the way, speaking of blog posts, Meshmate Anita, who was just speaking before, between her and Ruth and some others, that just got a blog published on, well, She Code Africa, the Layer 5's participation in She Code Africa's first contribute-on. that's pretty neat. If you haven't seen it, go critique it. Cool. Then I think, was it next up? Was it Piyush? Is it you?
Yeah. Hi, this is Piyush. Okay, so tomorrow we will be having a 20-minute call where I'll be displaying how to contribute into Messery API docs. I have already wrote one document on how to contribute to it, but some folks are having some hard time figuring out how actually they can start writing these docs. So I thought that small video call would be better, where I will add doc to some one or two URLs, which will kind of help some people to get started about how exactly they have to go through the project and explore the Messery's server side, and adding docs for those routes and their responses and all that. So time is mentioned here. It will be a 20-minute call tomorrow. So join it, and that will help you in contributing to these things. I'll add the link to the doc here right now.
Cool. Hey, sorry to grab control of the sharing for just a moment, but to add to what Piyush is saying, so Piyush is highlighting the fact that Meshery has two types of APIs. It has a REST API and a GraphQL API, and to date, there have been some refactoring of the APIs, because as Meshery has grown in its functionality, so too have the APIs sort of expanded, and they're in the process of being refactored a little bit, refactored by a way in which how the endpoints are structured. So I'll put a link to this spreadsheet, just giving some context to what Piyush is talking about, because I think it'll be pretty, his meeting tomorrow will be pretty interesting. Navendu, it would be great to get that meeting on the community calendar. But so this is like, hey, if you want to interface with Meshery's APIs, where do you go to understand what the APIs are and what they do? Well, today it's a spreadsheet. Yikes. Not ideal, because it's statically defined, and who wants to look at a spreadsheet? And so there have been Piyush and Dhruv actually have both been kind of championing a push to use open API specifications or use Swagger kind of tooling to document the APIs in the code itself, so that what the APIs are can be automatically documented from that code. So you can see here in docs.meshery.io, there's a GraphQL, there's a reference for the GraphQL set of APIs and what the queries can do, what types of queries they are, whether you're fetching or subscribing or mutating. And this is being auto-generated, correct, Dhruv? Okay, but it's
Yes.
but it's incomplete. And then the same goes for the REST API, auto-generated now, auto-published. And not that anyone's comparing, Dhruv, but this one's a little more interactive, a little more but it is also incomplete. And so Piyush is going to be this is what Piyush is referring to. So cool. Piyush, does that help, or anything else you'd want to say there?
No, it's just that do join that. And if you engage into this part, you will be exploring Meshery's APIs, and will be also contributing to the website, which will help the upcoming developers to understand what exactly API is going to return them, and they don't have to go through the code to discover what will they get as a response from the API. So that will save a lot of time for the forthcoming developers who will be interacting with these APIs and all. I think that's it.
Yeah, sounds great. So people who are interested can attend this at 9 a.m. Central Time. Okay, moving on. Vinayak, are you in the call?
Hi, yeah, I'm on the call. Can I share my screen and display the local build of the web form that I'm working on?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm sharing my screen now. Is the web form visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So basically, right now, Layer5 is utilizing Google Forms for collecting response of all the newcomers, for collecting their basic details like email and their name, etc., and their interests. So we soon might transition to a more customized experience for the newcomers, as well as someone who is coming to looking to join Layer 5. So this web form is utilizing Formic JS in case someone wants to check out the code. It will have 4 different paths. The first one is contributor, developer, user, and contributor. And as a participant, this will help us in categorizing the various people who might be joining Layer 5. So it will collect all the interests. Uh, the questions are mostly picked up from the Google form that we have right now. The form is almost complete except for the integration part with Integromat. It might have some mobile view related issues. So in case someone wants to contribute to this, you are free to do so. It's available on the Layer 5 repository. I guess like that's most of it.
Cool. Well, this is, I like this topic in part because everyone who's on the call, most of you have probably, you know, at some point when you were onboarding into the community and kind of joining, you might have filled in that Google form that Vinayak was sharing. And I'm going to share my screen. And Vinayak and Elizabeth, who was part of the She Code Africa interns, and some others are working on trying to get us off of that Google form because it doesn't feel as nice as having something first class. And so I wanted to not re-describe what Vinayak just said, but add a couple of things around it, because I think everyone can relate to what's happening here. Like a lot of us join, you know, come into the community and we see different things going on. Some things are interesting. Some things are like super confusing. What the hell is, you know, what's going on with that? And it can be sometimes, to Joe's point earlier about how quick the community might move and how quick the projects might move while you're trying to learn the tech that they're using. Well, it can be frustrating, or you might not get a foothold. You might not. And so this is a great, I think, example of something that all of us can grok and relate to, and is an example of how the community, just each of the members are saying, hey, we think that we can improve upon this, and they're working to. And so all of you should, if you don't just mention this, that should have access to 2 different design files in Figma. So So most of you are probably familiar with Figma. We end up using it here in the community. There's one of the files has, well, the designs for the Layer5 IO site, because about 200 or so of you have contributed something to that site, which is, which is unto its own, that's amazing. As we go to improve it, here is the set of mockups for the form that Vinayak was just showing. Here's some mockups on what we think, field validation should look like, and what those steps should be. They start, people start here, they go through they answer the questions, they go through okay, great. So why is Lee showing us something so obvious? Because I want to demonstrate that part of the flow, or like part of different areas to get engaged in, like, hey, someone had to put this together, someone had to review it and talk about it and then figure out that we're going to go implement that. Great. Here's a question for all of you that may not, like, I don't know, if someone just hit me with this randomly, I don't know that it would occur to me immediately. Like, here's a question for all of you, and that is, I'll make a statement. So the Layer5IO website is hosted on GitHub pages, which means that this site itself and all of the things that are on it are static. This is a static site. Okay, well, but what about this? Isn't this is a form that gets submitted. This is a post that happens, right? So the same thing happens, like when someone then clicks submit here, or they're filling in this form, if there's no backend web server processing this submission, what happens? Like, how does, when they click submit, does that like auto push the form response to GitHub? Or, so Vinayak, you mentioned another tool as you were talking this through. I'm kind of pausing because for some of you, I think this makes sense, and you might have an answer for how you can deal with a relatively complicated form submission without having to pay for a web server running somewhere. There's a bunch of answers to that. There's a bunch of ways to facilitate this and get it done. So just very briefly, in the past, this community has used a couple of different tools as the answer to that, as like the thing that processes a submission. And this, as of late, it has been that the community has begun to use Integromat, integromat.com as an automation tool, a tool to automate things. So here's literally when someone clicks submit, this is what happens. So this is the behind the scenes of when someone submits the form. Well, there's a webhook that's sitting here, and it gets pushed to this webhook. Some processing happens. People get, hopefully they get a welcome message in Slack. They get added to a Google group so they can get access to the community drive. They get added to the Google group so they can get subscribed to the community calendar. And they get added to the list of community members. This kicks off. And so I didn't have a point for this other than to just say, there's a bunch of places to get involved in different things that go on. And if you don't have access to Figma, just request it. So yeah. Vinayak, sounds like we're close. That's great.
Next topic, Aditya. I think he's not in the call with us, but you can check out the GitHub form where we were tracking this particular talk, where you could try running Meshvi in Raspberry Pi itself. A brief detail would be he was successful trying to run it in Raspberry Pi 4, and he was testing it in Raspberry Pi 3. So if any one of you are interested in it, you can contact him or communicate through him in this particular page. Okay, now let's move on to Rudraksh. And do you want to talk about the new GitHub action which we just released and the future ones which we are going to release?
Yeah, hello everyone. So don't mind if my audio is terrible due to my connection. Basically, we released a GitHub action for performing SMI conformance validation recently. We also demoed it here a while back, as well as on the last SMI call. You can just use the sample configuration, and we are bringing in some updates so it will become better. Next on our item list is an action for performing SMP tests. And meanwhile, we are trying to figure out, mainly Abhishek is figuring out an issue with the SMP endpoint. And me and Jubril are trying to debug it as well. So once that's fixed, I guess there won't be much work to do. We can just get some boilerplate code from the SMI action, and yeah, it won't be much work for the SMP action as well. So yeah. A GitHub action for Mesri, yeah. Soon as we incorporate features into Mesri CTL. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. If someone wants to check out the SMP GitHub action, they can visit our dev call where potentially it will be shown, and if not on August 4, where it will definitely be shown. And okay, so let's move on to the last topic of today, and that would be Utkarsh. Do you want to talk about the design spec
Yeah.
for patterns? Yeah.
Yep. You could please share the screen.
Sure.
So it's visible. So recently I proposed, I created a new draft proposal for relationship and patterns. I won't go into details about what the spec about exactly is. I'll share the link in the chat. Basically, the spec is about introducing relationships and patterns. And the gist of it is that I'm proposing that there should be an additional syntax support in patterns, which should be able to which you can use to refer other components into. So if someone has used pattern files, they may have seen that there could be multiple services. Right now, you can specify services, you can duplicate them, or basically you can do copy pasting, but you cannot actually cross-reference stuff. But with this particular syntax, which which I am proposing in this particular spec, is basically about that. So with this particular syntax, you should be able to cross-reference other services as well as self-reference if that's a need. The ID parameter of it would be a reserved one that would be assigned by Mesri server after inspecting the services that you have requested for provisioning. This is the gist of it. A justification for why I propose a new syntax rather than just copy pasting the UIDs, if that's all what we need for establishing relationship, is that having a syntax which is not infrastructure specific and rather pattern specific would allow the pattern to be portable. So if you would instead of using this particular syntax, if I would have just proposed that just be it a UUID, because that's all a relationship would probably require. The issue would be that the UID would be valid for your infrastructure but may not be valid for other infrastructure. So the thing is that you cannot actually share the pattern. This syntax would actually not only it's quite basically it will allow you to do a lot more things rather than just specifying IDs. Like you can actually cross-reference namespace also rather than hard coding stuff, because Mystery Server take care for it. It also makes sure that your pattern, if your pattern worked in your infrastructure and you give it to your friend, it would work in their infrastructure, provided they had adapters and those kind of things to work, which the pattern actually expects. So this is a gist. I'll actually share the link to this in the chat, and probably everyone can take a look at it. Yes, so for context, actually, just a brief context, why the need for relationship and patterns. Basically, this was required so that we can establish something called edges. I think Meshmap has been demoed quite a few times on the calls. So Meshmap has nodes, and it represents a lot of things. The thing that we also need to capture in there is edges. So this is also sort of saying that the edges could be of two types, hierarchical and traffic based, and those kind of things. So this particular specification is, although regarding how we can represent relationships and patterns, it will also have impact, a very huge impact on Meshmap in the way it can capture the details of edges and the metadata associated with edges. So yeah, this specification is regarding the relationship, but definitely a huge impact on a mesh map and describing the relationship between different nodes via edges. So, yeah. Oops.
Sounds exciting. So I guess as usual we are 5 minutes over the call, and it is, I would, yeah. So have a great weekend. I guess it's the last summer weekend to your place. So enjoy it.
Nice. That's great. Lots of topics covered today. Thank you for hosting, Drew. Yeah, like you said, have a great weekend. Nice to see everybody. Good to see some new faces. Everybody.
Bye all.
Yeah, bye everybody. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.